patch that dropped last night and make a first impressions video on it. So the new beta patch is version 103, and I haven't actually looked into what people have been saying about it, but I'm curious as to what they've actually changed. So let's start. Seems like they're changing how scoring works in leaderboards. To be honest, I haven't even opened the leaderboard at all. I am not even entirely sure how it works. So, is it mainly for daily runs? I haven't completed a daily run either. I've just been trying to do win streaks on Ascension 10, so maybe this isn't so applicable to me. Seems like they're breaking up the main and beta branch, so I won't go into too much detail for this because I personally don't have an interest in it. I'm sure other people do. Okay, so the rest of the updates including updated art. Ooh, that's exciting. Some reworks and balance changes. I guess that's what I'm most interested in. A new Ironclad card and Niao relics. One of which may be very familiar to Seasoned Slayers. Okay, that's very interesting. Let's see. So this week I'll be grouping balance changes. Better talk about how each section changes overall. There's 3 new relics. Okay. Upon pickup, gain 2 random Niao relics. Ooh, that could be very strong. I guess it's high risk, I think that's actually probably a bit strong. You get a random curse in your deck. Is that a removable curse? Because if that's removable, then this just seems extremely strong. I'll probably try taking it because on average, Niao relics just feel extremely powerful. Well, there's some that are kind of a whiff, but I feel like just getting 2 of them puts you on an insane spot, especially if they're 2 really good ones. So, curious to see if this remains this way, and I'm curious to see what kind of curse it is. File holster. Upon pickup, gain 1 potion slot and procure 2 random potions. Uh, I mean, it seems fine for early elite hunting, especially. You have a pretty big power spike initially if you get 2 potions right off the bat, and you can also carry 1 more. So even you could hit an early shop and get another potion and just really try to hunt down elites. I think file holster doesn't seem especially strong unless you're playing a character that might struggle a lot in the early game with early elites like Ironclad. I probably won't take it too often, but it could also be better than I'm anticipating because if you use your potions correctly, you go a long ways. That's probably my biggest flaw as a player is my potion usage. I tend to use them at the wrong timing, so maybe I'm putting this in my own perspective, but I think that this is probably an average Niao relic that you'll take if there's nothing else. Ooh, Winged Boots is back. Let's go. So you can ignore paths when choosing the next rooms to travel to 3 times. So that's really awesome. I'm excited to do runs with this. I don't know how strong it's going to be, um, but at the very least, it's a lot of fun. If you want to avoid combats, it's good for that. If you want to avoid elites, you can probably do that in general. Or if you want to fight more elites, you could probably snipe like 5 of them, 6 of them in Act 1, or I guess 7 of them even in Act 1 if you get a proper path for it and you're really strong. So I think it'll help snowball if you're strong, and it'll also help um, keep you safe if you're weak. So Winged Boots is awesome. I think that's a great starter relic. It only works 3 times throughout the entire run. It would be cool maybe if it reset on each floor, but maybe that would be really strong. So maybe that's a bad idea. But 3 times for the duration of the entire run, considering you get it at the very start, maybe I'd increase that to like 5 or 6. But yeah, this is exciting. I'm curious to see how this plays out. I'm wondering now if you get Winged Boots at the start, if you can almost force an event in a certain act that you want to get, as in you can force yourself to get almost every event in an act if you get every event tile, right? So I'm wondering if there's going to be a meta shaped around that. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I think it's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm very happy with these changes. I think all of them are welcome additions. I think Niao's Bones might end up being a bit strong, but we'll see. And Wing Boots is just really fun, and File Holster's just a standard good early power spike, so I'm cool with that. Ironclad has a new card, a rare called Not Yet. It costs 2, heals for 10 and exhausts. I mean, that's a bit overtuned, I think. That seems ridiculous. So you're healing for 13 when it's upgraded, along with your relic. It's a 2-cost skill. Oh my god, yeah, that's just. Is that just the best rare card in the game? Like, what is that? Surely that's gonna get nerfed, right? I mean, healing in a run, this is like the only source of true healing in a character, I think, throughout the run, because most of them were removed, and this just seems a bit overtuned. I liked how healing in Slay the Spire 1 with Ironclad was scaling with strength with the AoE attack that healed. This just seems like a flat heal no matter what. So I kind of wish they had it scale with strength, kind of like it did in Slay the Spire 1, because strength builds don't feel overly strong. But yeah, I feel like this is just an instant take. As soon as you see it, it will literally save a bad run. I hope they nerf this like half the healing or something, because that's just it's a bit ridiculous. You could also get the exhaust remove on it in Act 3, and then you just pretty much win any run. Yeah, I don't know if they fully thought this one through. Oh, they got rid of grapple. I guess that makes sense. It was basically just Juggernaut, but within a turn. I quite liked it with Rage and like Rage defense stacking builds with attack. I would often play grapple first and then Rage, and then I would just start stacking my defense while also doing damage. So I liked grapple, but yeah, it was literally just Juggernaut. So I get why they removed it. They changed Colossus, which I believe makes it so that vulnerable enemies deal 50% less damage and it blocks for 5. So they decreased the rarity from rare to uncommon. Okay. I think that's a good change. It'll bring more early game blockage if you find it early, which you're more likely to now, and makes the vulnerable synergies a bit stronger. I think that this is going to be a pretty big buff to Ironclad overall. I'll probably be taking this card a lot when I see it as an uncommon, even if you just have your bash. I think that you're going to end up saving a lot of health with this, and I think you're going to see more early bash upgrades if you get a Colossus and stuff. So that's pretty cool. So the set of changes aimed at improving Ironclad survivability in a big way. Colossus moving to uncommon pool helps to lessen the need for rare defensive options. True. A lot of the good defensive options are rares, so I think that's a good move. Should also help Ironclad players that are missing out on weak. To make room for uncommon Colossus, an existing uncommon had to be cut, and grapple was too low impact and redundant. Yeah, like I was saying with Juggernaut, it wasn't so useful, so I understand that. So it made the most sense to cut. Not Yet gives the Ironclad a much needed healing option. Yeah, I think it's a bit strong though. I don't know. My gut feeling is that this is just overpowered, but we'll see. Okay, we have the silent changes. I hope the changes aren't too big on the silent, considering I just made a tier list. And looking at the first one, acrobatics rarity went from common to uncommon. Wow, okay. So while this is a much needed change, that's a huge shakeup in the silence uh, play overall. Like this is a huge change because you're not going to be able to just find almost guaranteed 2 or 3 acrobatics per run. You're probably going to have a few runs where you don't find one at all. So yeah, no, that's a huge change. I think this puts prepared in a spot where it's even more powerful than before, even though it was already very strong. I think in my tier list, I would probably move acrobatics down just one tier since it's not a common anymore. Because one of the reasons why I thought it was so strong is because of the fact that it was a common. I think this is a really good nerf, but yeah, this is gonna you're gonna feel this for sure. Okay, so follow through was changed or reworked. So let's see. Before it was uncommon and it was an AoE attack that applied weak to all enemies if the last attack or if the last card you played was a skill. I didn't take it super often, but I thought it was okay. Now it's oh wait, no, it was an uncommon. Now it's a common. Okay, so I guess we're gonna be seeing more of that. So it hits So it does 7 damage. If you have 5 or more cards in your hand, hits an additional time. Uh, so if you get it on turn 1, it'll hit an additional time for sure. There's going to be much less card draw now that Acrobatics is an uncommon. So maybe it'll be hard to take this early game unless you have another way of card drawing or you have an Acrobatics. Um, it'll be 1 cost for 18 damage upgraded under the right conditions. Uh, yeah, I think it'll be a strong early game card if you have any way to consistently have 5 cards in your hand. Otherwise, it's just a strike. I probably won't be taking it too much. It's fine though. I think it's a good card design because I know that there's another card that rewards you for having pretty much no cards in your hand. This is almost the opposite, and the payoff isn't huge, but you know what? I think it's an alright change. I think maybe they should have something else to replace applying weak because there are weak synergies within the Silence kit, and if there's now one less source of it and one of the better sources of it, then that's a bit unfortunate. I think maybe they should either shift out of having weak synergies in the Silence kit or maybe create a new attack that does that, an actual strong attack, because Sucker Punch isn't very good. So Memento Mori was buffed. Yeah, I mentioned my tier list that I didn't think it was very good. So the base damage went from 8 and 10 upgraded to 9 and then 11. That's cool. I definitely do like that, but I don't know if that's big enough to actually make a difference. I think that they should do more with scaling the damage from discarding because I don't think the base damage is the issue. Okay, so we have Speedster upgraded or buffed it. Okay, it did feel a bit undertuned in the most recent patch for sure. Um, with only doing 1 damage unupgraded. Now it seems like, oh my gosh, sorry, my cats are like fighting, not fighting, but being very interesting. Anyways, it seems that they have put the damage back to 2 unupgraded, and when you do upgrade it, instead of gaining that damage back, it gains innate. I think that is a huge buff to Speedster, and probably a necessary one now that Acrobatics has been changed to an uncommon, so I think this is a smart change overall. Now that Acrobatics is an uncommon, this is obviously the biggest change. I think cards like Expertise get more value. I think that Prepared obviously gets more value. I think Sly cards overall get less value now, so you might see more early game decks where you're playing things like Poison, like high cost cards like Snakebite, like Dash, which you've kind of already been doing, but usually you took Sly cards under the assumption that you're going to find Acrobatics, and you can't make that assumption anymore. Acrobatics has consistently been a problem as a common, true. Yeah, like it's just it was ridiculous as an uncommon or as a common. So I think it's fitting that it's now uncommon. I'm curious to see how people will play early game and what cards they're going to take on silent now because there's going to be a huge adjustment in play style that I'm actually pretty excited for because it felt like Sly cards with acrobatics and prepared was just always kind of a way to win, and now I think things are going to change a bit and there's going to be more play styles. So I'm excited to see what happens with that. Okay, so Regent has a relic change to relegate. Now grants block for any card created, not just colorless cards. I guess that's a decent change. It seems like most of the cards it created were already colorless cards, so I'm not sure exactly what they have in mind. Oh, make it consistent with Arsenal, which gives more love to Regent's status generating cards. Okay, so maybe more status-based builds will be good on Regent with this because you can just play that and then create statuses in your deck. I believe Crash Landing fills your hand with statuses as well, so it could be synergistic with that. Maybe there's going to be. I don't think this is enough to make you take status cards a lot on Regent, but it's an interesting update. I do like it. And maybe if you do manage to get events from cards from other decks, like creating souls somehow on Regent, then yeah, I think that if you're generating block from souls and stuff, that'd be really, really strong. So they got rid of the tunneling twosome fight from the Hive. I thought that was a fine fight. It was. I wonder why they got rid of it. Do they go into an explanation as to why? I thought it was like a pretty easy Act 2 fight, but now it seems like the hard pool for Act 2 will be a lot harder. So, okay. Because I believe this was a hard pool fight, and if this is gone, then the Act 2 combats that are left over are not so fun to play against. So maybe I'll have to be more mindful with fighting hard pool Act 2 enemies now. Oh, they nerfed Living Fog so that it only spawns one bomb over time. Yeah, that's definitely a good change because once it started spawning like 2 or 3 bombs per turn, it definitely hurt. It was way too punishing, and you're not really able to block in that combat at all. So that's a pretty big nerf to the hard pool in Act 1. This is probably the combat that I feared the most. They nerf Skull King Colony. Okay, it seems like every single patch Skull King is getting a pretty big change. So they decreased its HP interval from 74 to 70 or 79 to 75. Okay, I'm guessing that just makes you able to kill it at a turn earlier if you're doing 15 every turn. Probably a good change because sometimes it just felt like it went on a bit long and it didn't feel challenging like that. So I'm okay with this. They nerfed Verdonis, so HP decreased from 94 to 84. Okay, well, Bernanis, that's a pretty big nerf. It's 10 health. Seems like they're making Act 1 much easier now. Not much easier, but Act 1 is definitely less threatening. So I'm cool with that. I feel like most runs die in Act 1, so maybe this will help make it so that runs lose at different acts as well. Seems like they made Act 2 a little bit harder, and made Act One a bit harder, Act One a bit easier. So, okay, I'm interested to see how many runs still lose in Act One. Oh, thank God they nerfed Doormaker. Doormaker, it just felt really toxic in this most recent beta patch because you basically didn't know if you were facing it until Act 3 when your deck is already established. It just felt really annoying to play against. It was hard to build a deck against. Like only very specific things worked. Things that contain a lot of card draw just felt awful. Any like low cost decks just it felt like they died. Um, you almost need to be able to nuke it pretty fast to win. I feel like all of my A10 runs that got to Act 3, if I saw a Doormaker, I was just like, oh no. It felt like by far the hardest Act 3 boss. So hopefully the nerfs make it a bit more interactive. Because, for example, let's say you didn't get your powers on the very start, you were just kind of screwed, or like you just I don't know. It just felt if you didn't get your right draws at all, then you just lost. It, so I'm curious to see what they're gonna do now. Overall damage numbers nerfed and moves moved around to better align with the Doormaker's powers. Okay, so it definitely did hit hard, especially at its second rotation of powers. So that's probably a good thing. No longer applies debuffs. Okay, that's pretty huge. That definitely makes it significantly easier. And it gets less strength. So it seems like maybe they're just nerfing its base stats by like decreasing its damage, and also it doesn't apply buffs and it doesn't get stronger as quickly. I think that's a pretty good change, and it makes it more strategic, as in you're not feeling as rushed playing it, and you can actually think what you're trying to do and plan a bit better. So Doormaker maintains its troublesome powers but gets several changes to make the fight more manageable and less oppressive. Okay. Additionally, I've started focusing on removing some of the spikiness from Act 1. Yeah, okay, sounds good. Plan with the long-term plan to shift some of the difficulty from Act 1 to Act 3. Bit weird that they nerfed the hardest Act 3 boss with that in mind, but I guess it's a long-term plan, so we'll see how it plays out. Hopefully they make some of the Act 3 elites and combats a bit harder because I'm never really scared to take elites in Act 3. They're very, very chill. I feel like some of the Act 2 elites are even harder, like the Centipede, and yeah, probably just the Centipede, to be honest. But okay, curious to see how they're gonna take it. So they added new art for Adaptive Strike, Shadow Shield, Smokestack, Bad Luck, and Outbreak. Okay, at the end of the video, I think I'm going to take a look at the. Actually, you know what? That's okay. I'd rather just see them as I'm playing. They added a new art for Nunu Pip's ancient background. Okay, that's cool. UI updates. Okay, more leaderboard stuff. Run history. Bad to show up in run history. That's cool. Doesn't seem like too many things I am interested in. Okay, that's a good update because I've definitely taken this event and went for the spiraling whirlpool. Like I want to make an upgraded strike spiraling, and I couldn't. It's happened more than once, so that's cool. Um, Added wrapping navigation to relic inventory bar on controller. Okay, doesn't do anything for me. Okay. So this is just writing on the cards. Okay, that's cool. Bug fixes. Let's skim this real quick. I don't know how many of these have actually impacted me. I have had issues where I launched the game and it would crash, so maybe that's fixed now. Hmm. Okay, that's really cool. Um, oh, multiplayer changes as well. I do play some multiplayer. Okay, well, overall, I'm pretty happy with these changes. I think that the Silent got some nerfs that it really needed. So I am interested to play a run on the Silent with these updated changes. I also I want to get that new card on Ironclad just to see if it's as broken as I think it is, because oh my God, that seems a bit overtuned. Um, yeah, I think this is a step in the right direction, and I'm definitely excited to see how they make Act 3 more difficult in the future. And I'm curious to see how it feels to play Act 1 now with the nerfs to some of the elites and the hard pool enemies. So, okay. Thank you for watching, and hope you enjoyed. Take care.